¿Cómo va el miércoles? ¿Cómo han ido las noticias? Para arriba, para abajo, el precio no ha parado, ¿eh? Vaya bamboleos que ha pegado el precio, madre mía. Y yo con estos pelos, el precio... bamboleo para arriba y yo con estos pelos. Bueno, chicos, vamos allá, vamos a empezar el directo. Ayer dije que The Inner Circle Trader había sacado 2 vídeos nuevos que quería ver. Ayer fue un día bastante bueno en cuanto a directos. Vimos uno de los T-Trader, uno de los canales que nos gusta mucho, Humble Trader, una chica con más de 1 millón de suscriptores. Y luego repasamos un perfil de Instagram que estaba bastante bien. Así que, gente, como siempre, yo os voy a agradecer que me dejéis aquí en el chat si queréis que veamos alguno de los canales, algún Instagram, lo que os apetezca que veamos y reaccionemos. Pero hoy sí vamos a ver a nuestro querido y buen amado dios del trading, el rey, el inimitable Michael Huddleston, el soporífero. Ya sabéis que aquí, como te estés más de 15 minutos viendo un vídeo de este hombre, te pegas una buena siesta de esas que miras el calendario y no el reloj. Así que vamos con ello. Bueno, había sacado este hombre 2 nuevos vídeos. Dejadme ver cuál hace 2 días. Primero vamos a ver el de hace 2 días, que es el siguiente, es este de aquí. Vamos allá, voy a hacer un copia-pega. Vamos aquí, vamos a cambiar ya la pantallita y nos ponemos en modo estudio. NDOG New Day Opening Gap. Así lo reduce. Tenemos un nuevo concepto. Es este de aquí. Es el NDOG New Day Opening Gap. No te lo pierdas. Tenemos la parte 1 y luego nos faltará la parte 2, que creo que todavía no la ha sacado. Así que, gente, vamos con este nuevo concepto de la mano del creador del Smart Money, Michael Huddleston. Vamos a poner la velocidad 1,5, que la velocidad que este hombre habla no se nos va a complicar mucho la cosa. Y vamos un momentito, que he puesto subtítulos, traducir automáticamente, español. Ahora sí, gente, vamos para allá. New Day Opening Gap. Con copyright, 2023, all right reserved.
Okay, just like we discovered in the new week opening gap, the new day opening gaps openings are not a random event either. So we're going to take a closer look here at a new day opening gap opening price. Okay, so we're looking at the 3rd of May, 2023. You can see the 6 p.m. restart. There's an hour break in futures trading. And you can see that actually occurring here in this chart. Here's a 5-minute chart. So the opening price is the very first tick or traded price. That's not random. It's offered to the market, and whichever trade gets filled there, that starts the beginning of the new day opening gap. Then we look at the closing price from the previous session. And as we mentioned before, closing prices are not a random price event there. So new day opening gap, the closing price of the previous session here. So this is the 5 p.m. session. Now this NDOG, or new day opening gap, forms every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday. We don't have it there because we have the new week opening gap, the difference between where we close on Friday and where we open on Sunday. So here's the closing price on the previous session at 5 p.m. And then 1 hour later, we reopen in the futures market at 6 p.m. So that's our new day opening gap. Now I call this May 3rd because it's in my time zone, the 3rd, midnight. On the 4th, that starts my May 4th. But this is all factored as part of May 4th's trading on TradingView. So that way it's not a point of confusion. Between the 2 price points here, this is your new day opening gap. Now we're going to extend the new day opening gap into future price action. Okay, here's that same gap. Let's put more data on it. This is from Wednesdays, 6 p.m., my local time in New York. That gap that's created a new day opening.
Hola y bienvenido a TradingForexTV. En la página web de TradingForexSP.com encontrarás los distintos servicios de los canales de señales que tendrás disponibles. Solo debes entrar en el canal deseado y encontrarás en la página web toda la información que necesitas respecto a los canales. Aquí podrás encontrar los pasos, distintas ofertas y preguntas frecuentes que te puedes realizar sobre el servicio. Para apuntarte, solo debes seguir estos 3 pasos. En primer lugar, debes realizar el pago mediante Stripe. Se acepta cualquier tipo de tarjeta de crédito. En segundo lugar, debes registrarte al canal, que es donde se van a pasar los análisis y las señales. Para registrarte, debes utilizar el mismo correo electrónico que has usado en Stripe y tu alias de Telegram, sin usar la arroba ni mayúsculas. Y por último, apúntate a la comunidad, en donde podrás realizar todas las consultas que tengas respecto a los análisis u otras cuestiones. Recuerda colocar tu correo electrónico y tu alias de Telegram sin la arroba y sin mayúsculas. Así que, bienvenidos a los canales de señales de Trading Forex TV.
I've extended it through the 4th and non-farm payroll Friday. I want you to pay careful attention to seeing how price is respecting that new day opening gap. Here at support, we come down, support, resistance, consolidates around it, equilibrium between the high and the low. See how it's gravitating around that? And look at the difference, how price comes back down into here. So we offered this buy side, then we offered this sell side, and then it rallies up, trades into inefficiencies here, sells off, and you saw me actually show all of the trades in here with all this information as well in the previous review, and creates resistance here, resistance once more, multiple times resistance, support, sweeps the stops, rallies, resistance, support, digs down one more time into it here, and sends it higher post non-farm payroll data. So I want you to think about how I taught the new week opening gap and how we can use as many weeks and multiple months looking back 60 days. The new day opening gap sometimes may not actually form. There may be very little separation between where we close at 5 p.m. and where we resume opening a new trading session at 6 p.m. This pattern that forms with this new day opening gap may not be an everyday event. So if it's not showing a meaningful separation between the 2 price points, I won't even utilize it. Okay, so if it's like 1 tick or like 2 ticks, I'm not terribly excited about that. It can respect it, but I generally don't like to see those types of new day opening gaps. I prefer to see a separation like this, okay, where it's much more meaningful. You can see a real separation. There isn't a specific number of handles or points that I like. I just don't want it to be less than, preferably, it's got to be at least more than 1 handle. So carrying the data forward and casting it throughout the entire week, once that week closes, I'm not interested in that new day opening gap. So in other words, this has been utilized last week. I'm not interested in these 2 levels now going into a new trading week. So in my opinion, in my own analysis, the new day opening gap, I'm only interested in for the week. When the week ends and we start a new week, I'm going to utilize the very first new day opening gap, and I'll extend that throughout the entirety of the week. If you go through your charts, you'll see for ES, there wasn't really any other meaningful new day opening gap except for this one here. And look how it was treated into Thursday and Friday's trading. Once it closes the gap, that's not a point of abandoning the gap. Okay, we refer back to that area again in the future, and you can see how price gravitates around that here. And it's hard to argue against the idea that these levels will be, at least for the week, impactful support or resistance levels, if you want to call it that. I just like the idea that repricing to very specific PD arrays, when it touches it, it's not that it's touching here and not getting support to go higher. It's going down, and there's a confluence between that old new day opening gap low over here where it opened at 6 p.m., extending it forward. What's also here? A fair value gap in the form of a buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. So from here to here and dropping down, that's optimal trade entry, OTE. It's a fair value gap, and it's also the time where it closes in that gap with a retouch to that new day opening gap low. Finds the support, rallies up, and hits it one more time here, taking out sell side. One more time, relative equal lows here. What's below that sell side, it digs below that. During the London session on Friday, rallies, hits it as a high. What do we have here? Low, high, lower low, bullish breaker, trades into it here. After hitting that, fair value gap, bullish breaker, rallies, and digs back into what? The breaker, but also respecting that the bodies didn't close below that new day opening gap high. So the wicks do the damage, but the body tells the story. The bodies of these candles were not willing to even close below that swing low. So we dug down in.
Bienvenido al canal de Trading Forex TV Directos, en donde vemos estrategias y analizamos y reaccionamos a otros canales. Si todavía no estás suscrito, suscríbete y activa la campanita para que te lleguen todas las notificaciones. Muchas gracias.
Into this old new day opening gap high, allow price to send it higher. Everybody got order block and then start to rally. New day opening gaps, I like to see them act as a supporting factor or a resistance to an idea that I have already arrived at with other PV arrays or other analysis concepts. So it's not a be all end all, it's not a panacea. It's just one of those things I like to add to. And also, if it hasn't already done this new day opening gap reprice to the high of it here, and this is reversed for when it gaps higher too, same thing. I like to see it trade up into and reprice that. So that's right here would be a really easy trade where you open, we trade down, consolidate around the low of it with the gap here. So trading up to the high of that new day opening gap would be a very easy bread and butter type scalp. And that would be like an Asian session trade that you can utilize if it's a time of day where you can study or look for opportunities to tape read. Hope you found this one insightful. Until I talk to you next time, be safe.
Bueno, gente, ¿cómo lo habéis visto? New Day Opening Gap. Bueno, en realidad, un poquito tampoco ha sido un nuevo día, ¿no? Más bien ha sido, ¿cómo decirlo? La apertura de la semana, ¿no? Bueno, ya lo ha dicho que no es que sea la panacea, sino que parece ser un concepto más. Así que, bueno, cosas a tener en cuenta. El tema del gap puede funcionar como soporte. Me está sonando a mí el MetaTrader. Como soporte resistencia. Bueno, tampoco han dejado muy claro cómo se debería trabajar. Pero bueno, concepto más. Vale, pues lo tendremos en cuenta, Michael. Bueno.